So I had really debated if I was gonna make this video at all. We've had almost 5 years of Sarah Boone, everything. And for a lot of people, she still is a top topic to talk about, literally nationwide and literally globally. Her case, almost every person has heard and has looked into, and even her trial, a lot of people tuned in, not even watching trials or true crime things. So I'm going to treat this how I would, as if nobody else had ever seen any of my videos. You didn't know anything about me. So I might be repetitive for some of you, but for some of you, you are new and you don't know how my channel's been reporting and not really knowing my thoughts. So I thought it'd be a good way to start from the beginning and just really try to say where my head was at and how we got to where we are right now. So my channel's pretty new. We are slowly approaching its 1 year mark, and I love watching trials. I love true crime. I like watching the news just in general. So I really have enjoyed the last year. And of course, it also meant getting to cover more Sarah Boone things that have already been everywhere, all over the media already. And one of the great things for me is that I'm not on some syndicated show or channel where I have to stay neutral. Since it's my own platform, I get to be able to say how I feel, what I think, things I like, things I don't like. And although I don't ever go like really far into the deep end on if I don't like someone or things like that, I still try to be as neutral as possible, even going throughout the trials. Some people ask what I think is going to happen, guilty or not guilty, and I usually do have an opinion formed at some point, and I'm not afraid to say it. Sometimes I'm wrong, and one of the cases even leading up to today was one that I had talked about a lot, and that was the Colin Griffith trial. And I was so wrong about what I thought the jury was going to do. They did not find him guilty, and I was shocked, but it happens, and I am first to admit when I really messed up with my line of thinking, and I really did for that one. Although I do know some of you also feel like it was a big mistake and the jury should have gone the other way. So there's some of us that are out there in the same boat, and that's okay. Sarah Boone, when she was getting all of her coverage before the trial, really was pulling in so many negative media pieces. With the fact that she went through a million lawyers, wanted to demand things and treat people a certain way, talk to people a certain way, it made more eyes just want to keep watching her. But as the trial approached, that is when me and my channel started trying to find ways to really represent some of the victims in her case. You know, obviously George Torres is no longer here, but I thought it would be nice to be able to talk about his life, his family, kids, anything other than the Sarah Boone trial. And I had reached out to his family, different people, and I only would do it once, just asking, saying what I was thinking, saying that I would love just to talk about who he was. We don't have to get into anything bad, but just so his memory can also be formed with something else other than how, when, and why he died. That his family has gone through so much. So I wrote them and obviously said, no problem, if not, you guys have a lot going on. And I did not hear back from any of them. But I did reach out because it was starting to pull up my heartstrings, I guess. So then we go into the trial. I was obviously very excited about the trial. For a lot of us, it was like 4 to 5 years in the making. And I was hoping for resolution whether it was good, bad, just resolution in general for his family. And much like many of you, even during the trial, I still found myself shocked at some of the things that would be said or argued. And I mean, who can forget her statement on sentencing day? It was just a lot. It made me feel awful still for the Torres family. But something else happened with this trial that I hadn't had feelings on before. And that was very specifically the sentencing day. She got to speak her truth to the whole world, and I was very appalled, just like many of you. I couldn't believe that she was using that time to continue to dig a hole instead of maybe being remorseful or sorry, sad, anything. I thought that she absolutely did the wrong thing with that. But there was another part that really stuck out to me, and that was who came for her sentencing day and spoke for her on her behalf. She had no family and no real friends that showed up for her. Only people that she had met in her jail life came to represent and talk about the Sarah they knew in jail. And I did feel a little bit of a pang of sadness for her. She lost her parents, she lost her grandparents, her one brother who we've talked about, not great, not in the picture. I think her other brother is just trying to stay away from the spotlight. It's been so crazy for her case, and therefore anyone involved, even her son or Brian Boone. And I have not reached out to any of her family members. As much as I have questions, I just think they have been dragged through it all, and I didn't think that that would be helpful. And it's so recent that I don't think it'd be beneficial at all. But it did start making me wonder if she had childhood friends, just people that she knew from before. How was her home life? You get to wonder about someone's personality, and did they have a tough upbringing? Was her mom overly strict and so Sarah's a certain way, or did they not get along? Or just family dynamics, because as you are growing up, you are also taking in the environment around you. And I was just curious to know about that part of her life. Not even talking about the bad things. I just wanted to know more on that. And for a lot of people, having someone reach out saying, this is what I want to talk about, it is unnerving. And I had made the decision early on that for any case that I'm writing to see if somebody's interested in talking to me, that my parameters will be specifically what they want if they want to do an interview with me. I don't want to make somebody feel like they are getting bullied or just being so negative and mean. And I surely don't need to add any more stress onto anybody, let alone anybody in the Sarah Boone world. And I was pretty surprised when one of her childhood friends agreed to have an interview with me. And I had already said, I won't bring up her name, I won't say her location, we will not give anything away. And for me, making a promise like that is no problem. I don't want to do these things that would hurt or affect somebody else in that way. But again, media and different social people on here, they will do that. And she didn't know me. She didn't have to trust or believe me. And she did. And I think it was a great interview. It was exactly what I was looking for, in the sense of hearing more about Sarah Boone outside of this entire chaotic part of her life. So we have the interview, and like I said, for me, I was happy with how it was. It is what I wanted to do in that moment. It was trying to be a little bit more positive, not trying to sit here and beat a dead horse with all these things that I haven't liked that Sarah's done. And I was just really grateful to being able to hear more about her and her life, and not in a bad way. And something that was said to me after the fact of filming and putting it up, I wasn't even going to share all of this at all. I'm going to share just a little bit though, and say, after the video went up, I was reached out to because people wanted to let me know that we're in that closer knit of people in this chaos, that they appreciated what I did and how I did it. It meant a lot. It's from people that are involved, and it meant a lot. And I was happy with that. So then time comes, and so time goes on, and we are waiting to find out where she's gonna be put in. We thought we knew what prison, we weren't sure, we were right. And I had decided that at some point I was going to reach out to Sarah, and I hadn't exactly worked out in my head what I wanted to say, although the time came and I did. But I just knew that if I had an interview with her, that I would treat it very much so how I did with a childhood friend. I didn't want to sit here and tell her all the bad things and all the bad things I think about what she's done and who she is. I didn't want to have any of that conversation. I wanted to hear the other parts of what made her into the person she is today. She claimed a lot of things to the trial, even on that sentencing day. In her long speech, she made a lot of claims against people who aren't even alive to say if she's lying or not. I thought with having the option to at least let her be able to talk and get her story out there, or just different things so the media and the public could hear other things about her, that I would offer her a platform to do that. Same thing with the other interviews, that if she had stipulations, I would agree, and we would just stick to whatever topic she would choose out of the topics of things that she wants to talk about. She doesn't need another person berating her, and I really wanted more content in finding out her life and just what led her there. So then I made the decision to go through the process of being able to email her. It wasn't that hard. Some of you have been asking me about it. It's not that hard, but the prison does have to approve you. And with my first email, they have to look at the emails and approve it, and then the person can get it and decide whether they even want to read it or not, or if they do, and then block them and deny them, and that's that. So I sent her my first email, and I was shocked when 24, 48 hours later, she had written me back. So many of you reached out and asked me if Sarah knew about my video with her friend, what was going on with everything in that department. I had made the decision that if I was going to write her and see if she wanted an interview, that I was going to be 100% transparent. And my first letter really does lay out exactly how I feel, and I think how I've been communicating to all of my subscribers this last year. I have been critical of her at times. I haven't agreed with choices that she's made. And I wasn't going to pretend that I haven't spoken up on things like that. I put it in there. First letter. I also told her about the interview I had with her friend in the first letter, because I thought that was the right thing to do. To let her know, like, I don't think you're innocent and we're not doing a puff piece on whatever. But I wasn't going to engage her in any argument or disagreements, because we disagree, and we disagree on like all of it. So I wanted to make sure that I was just as upfront and honest as possible. Now, I didn't have any expectations going into this. In fact, I actually thought she wasn't going to read it. And then I also had thought about that if she did, it would probably be a no. Maybe not too happy with me, but that she would just say no and whatever. So let me read my letter and Sarah Boone's letter.
Sarah, my name is Katrina. I'm a journalist as well as an independent investigator. On my different programs, media has allowed my online community to grow. I'm sure this comes at no surprise for you, but these past few years, your case and trial has gotten larger and larger. Now, I will admit I was and can be critical of some of the things you have said and done. But recently, some things fell into place. On your sentencing day, you had a few character witnesses take the stand on your behalf. But I have to admit that I would have been hurt if I knew most of my life or friends didn't come to help support me. I am not sure if you have feelings on it, but it caused a major shift in waiting to do a video for you, but not bringing out the bad or upsetting things. I was determined to find friends, coworkers, anyone to have a discussion with me about who you were before 2020. I will start off by saying your brothers, Brian, and your son are all people I have not reached out to. I think in particular, these family members I listed need a break from the spotlight and just to be and have a normal and stable life. For Lucas, I had reached out to people or friends and was met with radio silence. That is until I talked to. She was not in the loop and had no idea of the situation. She was extremely hesitant to do the interview because she doesn't know me and was afraid I would berate her or something. I set up boundaries for her. No names, family names, state, city, nothing that you could track her. When the interview was about to start, I reminded her that I'm not going to speak poorly of you, but wanted just to have the opportunity to remember good things with you and discuss you growing up. And that's exactly what we did. She told me how you were friends with her when you guys were younger. She shared a couple happy memories and discussed what a great friend you were when growing up together. After the interview, her parents even were supportive and said how classy and thoughtful the interview was. I'm summarizing the rest of my letter. Since it's a long letter, I was wondering if you'd be interested in doing what your friend and I did and have an interview discussion. Much like I said to her, that's okay if no. The spotlight has been on many people for years, but if you're interested, there's multiple ways to do it. It could be audio, Zoom, or even person to person. I know you have seemingly struggled with media and social media platforms. That in and of itself, that would be a topic that I would love to ask questions about for you. And I would make the same promise like I did your friend. I'm not going to have the interview to bash you, make fun of, or do anything degrading towards you. I simply just want the opportunity to discuss your life. Thank you.
So I wasn't going to respond to her first letter at all. She said no, and just like I did with every other person, I would ask once, and that would be that.
Please do not speak my son's name. And you spelled it incorrectly, which shows your research isn't exactly up to level you're boasting about. Speak my son's name. And you spelled it incorrectly, which shows your research isn't exactly up to level you're trying to boast about to me in order to be bamboozled by your mirage. Were you expecting I grab a cup of joe and tell you everything about me and my life? You don't know me, my family, or my son. You will not, and I am not professionally stating for you to pursue my family or my son going forward. Do not mention anything about my son and leave his name off your broadcasting. All of me is to be in appeal. All of me is to be in all of my appeal, not you. Stay tuned. Here's my letter back. Well, I can promise you one thing, and it's something I 100% agree with you. I don't talk about your son in any capacity. I have kids, so I understand and agree with you. I wasn't going to write back because a no is a no, but I just wanted you to know at least. Some of these platforms, people lose sight on morals sometimes, but I refuse to cross a certain line when I'm asking for an interview for something like this. Also, no to your cup of coffee comment. I assumed it would be a no. I also assumed that maybe people aren't interested in hearing what you have to say or giving any chance. So with knowing you'd most likely say no, I still wanted to give you the opportunity. I do hope I am not the first one to ask, but anyone who's reporting on you, who's not actually trying to understand you and various things, make their work really one-sided and biased. I felt like this was the right thing to do, and I will respect your answer.
Because I'm not going to hound or harass or do something. If somebody doesn't want to talk, they don't have to. And it was only within, if it would have been a no and nothing else, I wouldn't have even responded back a second time. But she brought up her son and a video on her son and his life. And if you have been a part of my channel, or if you even want to go look right now, I've never done those videos. So I don't know if she has me confused for somebody else, or if somebody said that and they said the wrong name to her for my channel. I don't know. But I didn't want her thinking that I would do that at all. So I decided I'd write her back one time. I knew that it was going to be the last time I wrote her, because once again, I already got the response. I'm not going to keep going back and forth with her. That would be awful. But so I knew the second letter, I wanted it to just be polite, let her know that I wasn't involved in whatever she thought I was doing.
Katrina, X, you are a liar. So many people have said you posted pictures and sugarcoated the hell out of my friend. Stop lying. I am not stupid or ignorant to your kind. Tisk, tisk. I have nothing to say to you other than I am not interested in what you say or think or do about me. As said, you do not know me. As said again, permanently do not speak my son's name or post anything about him and in the future. I am demanding you cease and desist, and I have already representatives in New York about you and your schemes, especially with my minor son. Stop now. You're no better than any other cash cow trying to make a buck off my falsified and manipulated story. Just go with what you've got. It's all you're getting, and it's not from me. Shake my head. You've got nothing for me or my son or family members. You are conniving. You are conniving no one, but all that you are to the other no ones. You don't bother me, ever. Stay away in every way, shape, or form from me and my life. It's just going to get better and without all of your sadistic contributions. God's on my side, and that's all that matters. Liar, thief, problem, not the solution.
Once again, no expectations, but I was shocked at the aggressive, mean tone of the entire thing. Especially when I thought I wrote such a good closing letter. So to get that back, I'm like, oh no. I really wasn't sure what I should be thinking or feeling. And I had told my husband that I was pretty surprised that was the response back and how mean it was. And he turned to me and said, she killed somebody. What did you expect her to be like? Of course she's not nice. And I'm like, I know. And I get that. I think with the anger that I was met with, it was probably for the better that she is not being asked to go and talk to anybody if this is where she's going to keep it at. So that really ends my Sarah Boone saga of letters and investigations, and I feel like I gave the opportunity. Even with her berating of me, I will still be conducting myself the same way like these interviews have already been going. I want to be fair. I want to just highlight stories that we maybe haven't seen the whole truths.